Cloud. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome. So thankful that you are here either with us live and in person tonight or watching the recording. It is, Sandy and I were just saying how powerful and potent these stories are. So, for you to take time out of your life to listen to these stories you're going to hear tonight, I hope that we share something that impacts your life in a positive way. I've got some slides to share. I'm going to pull them up in just a moment, but just so you know a little bit about who you are hearing from. I'm Jessie Lucas. I'm coming to you from the Virginia side of Washington, D.C., just across the river. And I grew up in this area, but I only moved back here about a year ago, a little over a year ago, after spending several years in upstate New York and a good bit of time in Vermont in the mountains before that, where I raised my two boys. I was a single mom for a long time, yoga teacher, personal trainer, nutrition coach. I have my master's in health. And long story short, because I'm going to save most of the time here for our guest, Sandy McClure, but when I saw this, which was over 10 years ago, this story of activation, well, I did not pull up my slides. Let me open this up while I'm telling the story. When I saw this, I was on the heels of graduating from my master's degree, and I had actually done a part of my thesis on the effects of stress on your cells and on your overall health and well-being and what that means for longevity, good or bad. And it took me a while to wrap my head around what I was looking at because I was kind of in research fatigue when I looked at this. But when I did, I saw something that was worth putting in my body for the long haul and worth sharing the story. And before I turn it over to Sandy, I just want to give you a little bit of background, not only on myself, but on the company that you're going to hear the stories about the products that have changed our life. So this company, Life Vantage, I was not familiar with. I had actually never heard of it. And I don't know if this is your first time hearing it or if you have or you've had some experience. But when I saw what we were doing as the activation company, and what's interesting, we didn't have that term activation. We used terms like biohacking and nutrigenomics, which really spoke to the science nerd in me. But this term activation that we've really simplified it to really does speak to the whole message of the approach that we take in wellness. And Sandy's going to share more about that with you. But what I saw was a breakthrough. What I saw, listen, when I was here, when I was first learning about this, I lived in the mountains in Vermont. There were great co-ops, there were herbalists on every corner. There was so much resource in natural wellness, but even with all of those good resources, there was nothing that could help your body function like it should. There was supplementation, there was medication, and it was the visionary leadership here at LifeVantage that I saw really taking charge of this approach to wellness to make it a household name. And that is absolutely what I see us doing as a company. We are publicly traded on the NASDAQ, so everything is transparent. And I'm setting this up so that when you start hearing Sandy's story, you're realizing that this is not just a host of stories. This is legitimate science from a legitimate company that gets recognized in major publications. In another presentation, we can talk about that, of all of the scientific research that's been done. We are a company that really loves to help. We love to help people with their health. We love to help people learn about what it takes to share this message. We love to help the communities that we go into. Every time we go into a new community for a company event, we do a legacy project where we get to give back to that community. And that says a lot about the heart of the people who are here, both from the corporate side, who makes all these gears turn so that we can get out and share these stories. And that we are financially healthy as well, that we have an overflow to give back from. So we take care of our people inside the company, in the field, and in the communities. And when you look at what's ahead of us, the stability we have, all of the good stuff that we have, and that's what you're really here to hear, and that Sandy's gonna share with you. If you do have your thinking cap on, like I did when I saw the health revolution that was going on. It pays to know a little bit about where we've come from and where we're going, tapping into these new markets like gut health, like we did with the collagen market years ago. There are so many people out there looking for what we have that are frustrated with the so-called solutions that they're finding and not having great luck with, or not finding it all. And here we come with our activation approach. This is a really beautiful community to be a part of, and it does pay to be a part of it. And I mean literal, actual dollars. And while the value of the community, the value of the stories, the texts, the phone calls, the tears that we get back because of the successes people have with our products is wonderful. I got to tell you, as a single mom, that extra paycheck that did not rely on me teaching yoga or personal training or being in front of a class or client was critical, and it's only grown. And I'm gonna cap that for now so that I can turn it over to Sandy, because what I want you to hear is Sandy's take on why LifeVantage, why now. She has her own great, powerful story about what this community, what the science of activation has done, and frankly, what the transparency of being a part of the community has done for her entire family, her daughters and grandchildren included. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Sandy McClure. I had the great honor and privilege to host an event in upstate New York just a couple of weeks ago where we flew Sandy out from Colorado, and we had her daughter and two of her beautiful grandchildren in the room. I'll let her tell you more about her family. But Sandy not only has been an educator for her career, but health coaches now and helps so many people with their wellness. But she's a breast cancer survivor. She's got a story with breast implant illness that, if that doesn't bring you to tears, I don't know what will. But I hope you are ready to be educated and inspired and maybe motivated to share Sandy's story with somebody you know. So with that, my dear friend, I'm going to mute my line and turn it over to you. I'm so grateful for you being here with us tonight.
Okay, thank you, Jessie. Do you mind if I share my slides? Because I have
totally forgot.
So I'm going to go ahead if you don't mind.
That's right. Okay, all you.
And I'm going to skip through a few of these. And we're just going to talk about it. So thank you so much, Jessie. It's my honor and privilege to be here among all of you tonight. And thank you for being here, because I know there's a million other places you can be, especially approaching the holidays. This is going to be my last presentation for a while. I've been doing this for 3 weeks, and I hope that I can deliver something. This presentation, you're going to hear a lot of stories about me. You're going to hear a lot of stories about people I know. But why I do that is because I want you to know that for me, it has to be proven, and it has to be full of integrity. That's just who I am. And when I can share stories of people I know, then it matters. Okay. When I was first introduced to this, it was long after I was diagnosed with cancer. So let's just get that straight. We're not here to claim to cure, treat, or mitigate any kind of disease or illness. We're not here to claim that you can make a lot of money here. That's going to have to take a lot of work, and we both do that, but it does take work. And these products are just support tools. So I want you to know that what I went through, again, prior to being introduced to activation, was, just part of my story. And we all have some darkness in our lives, and we all go through struggles. Most of us spend a lot of time in the valley and a little bit of time on the peak. So we enjoy that peak while we can. But just bringing up, my whole theory is that I want to live life. I don't simply want to exist. And so I want to make sure that I die young at a ripe old age, making sure I've used all my talents. And I was a school teacher for 26 years in a very small town in Colorado. Things changed for me in 2012. The marriage that I thought was going to last forever did not last that long. Okay. I was introduced to a different company, and that's when I dipped my toes into network marketing. I had no intention of doing this. I knew nothing about it. It's very important for you to know I was very standoffish, and I had my opinions, just like a lot of people do. So if you're a skeptic, I was right there with you, and I get it. And I will never try to push something on you. I'm just going to share what this skeptic went through. I needed an extra couple of $100 to help pay for groceries after my husband left. Actually, that was in, I think it was 2014. No, it was 2012. See, I forgot all about it. So anyway, 2012, that's right. And I just purchased some products to share or to support my niece. And what happened was I really loved them. And I'm still passionate. I still stand behind what I did then. But she said, you should share this. And I said, if you talk to me about it again, I'll never buy from you again, because I was busy. I was a school teacher. I had a full plate. But what I found out is kind of like going to a restaurant. When you go somewhere or go to a restaurant and you love the food, you share that with everybody. You tell everybody about that restaurant, right? You tell everybody about that great movie. But those places never reimburse you. What I found is when I'd share something and somebody would go partake in what I was sharing, I got paid for that. Even when I was sleeping. That blew me away. And I remember my dad, who also died of cancer. I mean, who died of cancer, not also, but he did tell me he worked so hard, you guys. He's a blue collar worker. And he said, if you can ever figure out how to make money while you sleep, you need to do it. And so that resonated with me. And I was looking for $200 for groceries. That turned into groceries. That turned into my car payment, eventually my mortgage payment, and then ended up 5 times what I was making teaching. So I had the opportunity and the choice, which is what this industry does, for me to step away and be able to retire, because I was turning 50. My daughter had just graduated from high school, and I walked away from the school classroom to a huge classroom in the world. Okay. That was in 2014. And then in 2015, you remember I talked about those peaks and valleys earlier, guys? In 2014, I was excited and happy. And then in 2015, I was diagnosed with cancer, July 13th, 2015. On my way, I got the call on my way to do something like I'm doing right now. And my daughter was with me, my oldest daughter. And she said, once I told her what the call was about, she says, Mom, I'm crying. We're not going to go to this. We'll turn around. I said, there's nothing we can do now. We're going to go spread the news of what we love. That just make us feel better. So we did that. I got on my journey, and, I was fortunate to be healthy. So I only had to fight one thing, and that was the breast cancer. And I fought it in a massive way. I had a bilateral mastectomy, and they talked me into getting those implants. I wasn't interested in them. Everybody else thought in my own best interest I should have those implants. I said, if this is what I need to do for you to stop bothering me so I can get on with the rest of this treatment, okay, I'll do it. I never wanted them. It was never comfortable from the get-go. And so these pictures that you're seeing up here in the front, in front of your face, guys, that's the residual effects of something that was toxic to my body. I'm not saying that's going to be toxic to everyone, but it certainly was to me. So the best part about, I told you I was diagnosed July 13th, 2015, and July 13th, 2015 or 2016, my grandson was born. Peaks and valleys, right? Just amazing. So that what could have been the worst day of my life on the calendar ends up being one of my favorite, because I have my grandson Landon. So after I battled that and got through that and did very well, I had a colonoscopy, and it didn't fare very well. My colon was full of precancerous polyps, and they said, you'll have to come back in 3 years, and then every 5 years or every year after that, probably, and they told me this, and I didn't tell anyone else. I held that secret for 3 years, that colon cancer will be your next thing. And so, I get it, why maybe they'd have to say something like that, but for 3 years, I had that on my mind. But during those 3 years, this is kind of how I looked, you guys. And there was something, I was just having debilitating headaches and things like that. I really thought, at one point, one night, that I was going to die. And I just reached up and I put my hand on my daughter's bed and I said, hospital. That's all I could say. And I did not want to die in her apartment. That's the only reason I went and woke her up, because I thought I was going to die. Took me to the hospital. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. That happened a few times. I'm not a hospital goer either, by the way, but I didn't want to die in her home. So finally, in February of 2019, I heard of breast implant illness. And I thought, goodness gracious, I wonder if that's, I saw a lot of the the side effects. And first of all, I thought this was just what happens after chemo. And I was happy to be alive. I thought if this is how I have to live, great, but it's not pretty, clearly. But I got those implants out in April of 2019. Now let's take a look right here. This is the morning of my explant. And this is that night. Right here to here. And right before I went into surgery, the woman looking at me saw my eyes swollen and everything. And she said, "You have Hashimoto's." And I said, "No, I don't." "Oh, yes, you have to have an autoimmune disease." No, I don't. I don't believe I do. We'll see. So, and here's what my oncologist said when I asked him, "Do you suppose this could be my breast implants?" And he said, "Well, some women have struggled." He said, "But you do realize what you'll look like, what your chest will look like if you get those implants out." And I said, "You realize what you're going to look like if you say that to me again." And so I said, at least if I get them out, which I was so happy to do, I said, if nothing happens, I've eliminated something. But clearly you can see what happened. Well, lo and behold, I was still at that other company. And then in May of 2019, which is why I love that our company is publicly traded, on a 15-minute Zoom, we were told that our businesses were going to be taken away. And so I thought, well, that was fun. That was a fun ride and everything. Now I'm going to do something else. I'll probably go back to the classroom, but I knew that I was not going to do this because that was a fun run, but I was jaded and never again. My friend reached out to me 7 times, you guys, 7 times to talk to me about this. And finally on the 7th time, because he's reaching out to me for a business opportunity, so this is really good for you to know, I said, "What do you even sell? What's the product?" And when he told me, I honestly did not believe him. I'd never heard of it either, Jessie. I knew nothing about activation, LifeVantage, none of it. I've never heard of it. And I'd been in the industry. And so I said, "If this is true, you need to be sending me some of what you've got. I'm not going to become a customer." And I said, "I'm definitely not going to be a consultant, but I'm interested in your products." So in June, he sent me NRF1 and NRF2. And I had that follow-up colonoscopy in July. And when I went in, my doctor looked at my chart, looked at me, looked at my chart again and said, "I'm just making sure this is the right person." He said, "We found one minuscule precancerous polyp that wouldn't be cancer for years." He goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I don't know." It's in a blue bottle. I didn't know much about it, you guys. All I knew is that was music to my ears. Now, I don't know. I have no idea if that was the change, but that's the only thing really that I had done different other than the implants. And I didn't even have those barely had those in my first treatment. He said, "You don't have to come back for 5 years." And I was like, this is amazing. I walked out in that hallway, you guys, and I just collapsed and just cried. And I looked up the sky and I said, "Okay, God, I see what you're doing here. Now I'm obligated to share," because listen, I was praying. I was praying for something to save me from having to go through all of that again. And again, I don't know if this is it, but I will tell you, if you look at those pictures down on the bottom, this was pre-cancer, 2 years pre-cancer. And this is 3 months, 4 years activated 3 months of 4 years post-cancer. Okay. Again, I had cancer long before I was activated, but those 2 pictures were passport pictures. And so they're not doctored or anything. You're never going to find doctored things from me, or you will never find filters, because I don't know how to do that, but I wouldn't do it anyway, just so you know. So I felt like I was onto something, truly aging backwards, life circumstances changed. And it all started with this magic little yellow pill. And Jessie has alluded to this. This is the first thing I heard of. I watched an ABC primetime investigative report. And if you have not watched that, please get back with the person who brought you here and say, "What is she talking about? I need to see that." One of the doctors in that video said, "I don't want to wait until I'm 80 years old to find out I should have taken it." That is the most compelling thing I remember from that. I mean, that struck me. And I said, I will never not take this. We all know, and if you live out in any rural area like I do, and I grew up in a rural area, there's cars out in the pasture, okay? And each year you drive past that car, it just gets a little bit more rust on it. And that's kind of like what happens to our bodies as we age. You know, if you could kind of see the progression as we age, and we're all going to age over time, our body just kind of gets run down. I say you're born with a bright light bulb, but as you age, it gets dimmer. And so this product has been clinically proven and has over 30 peer-reviewed studies. Name me any kind of natural product that has that many peer-reviewed studies, and those babies are hard to get. This will reduce oxidative stress by a minimum of 40% in 30 days. What is oxidative stress? Did you hear me talk about that, jalopy? That's what that is. It's the environment attacking our bodies, you guys, and we are being hijacked every single day through the air we breathe, through the food that we eat, through the devices that we look at, all the things. Even exercise causes oxidative stress. And it seems to be leading to a lot of unfortunate things that happen in your life. Oxidative stress damages cells, and damaged cells lead to bad things like diseases. And so if you can keep those cells healthy, my goodness, why wouldn't you do it? And if you could do it with one yellow pill with 5 ingredients, why would you not do that? We could eat a stadium full of blueberries, or we could take a yellow pill and get 1,000,000 times more powerful than any supplement that you have out there. And so why does life get out? Oh, is this the one? I don't know. I think I missed one. I meant to put the ABC primetime video in there. I sure hope I have the right slide deck. If I don't, I'm just going to have to exit and go. Okay, so we wonder, I did have the ABC primetime, I thought, in there. So I hope I have the right slide deck. But anyway, we are again hijacked. Lack of sleep, diet, stress, medications, aging. Guys, we can all relate to that. A lot of us, I don't take medications, but there's a lot of things that we can relate to that go hand in hand with that, especially right now during the holidays. Okay. I really don't think this might be the right slide deck, Jessie. I'm sorry if it's not, but I think it is. Okay. So all of these things, I don't have to read this to you. Those things happen as we age. Muscle movement, energy, metabolism, cells and repair, brain and cognition all go. And if we could uplift those things, why wouldn't we do that naturally? Okay, so what I love about this is we can do that. We activate so many things, and we activated that NRF2 pathway to reduce oxidative stress. Then we introduced NRF1, which enhances the mitochondria and activates our good gut mitochondria. And then we have the NAD, which is a great product for sirtuin activity. And if you hate ice baths, NAD would be a great, a great change for that. But you know what else we've activated? We've activated the brain activity to mental clarity and focus. Wouldn't that be nice? Sometimes I need that, maybe especially tonight if I picked up the wrong slide deck. Maybe I needed it a little bit more axio, but it powers your brain and your body, and it supports positive mood. And just in the last week, you guys, I've heard 2 compelling stories about people who were going through significant sadness and losing themselves, to introduce axio to their regimen, and it changed everything. I've always heard about how it kind of revs up the brain for kids because my own grandkids take it, but I hadn't really heard stories like that. So it's incredible, the stories that we have. Again, you're going to, you know, if there's any kind of energy drink that you're drinking, ditch that thing and do something that's good for you, a nootropic that is brain food for you. Okay, the Healthy Glow collagen. I'm just making sure that I have those pictures. This, you guys, is a product, as I go through this, you know, and I go through my life and telling my story. In 2022, I had knee surgery, okay? And I had it here at the Stedman Clinic in Colorado, a very renowned clinic where they work on world famous athletes. And I walked in there, I had knee surgery, and I've been activated already. I walked out of there. The first thing I asked for in recovery was my tri-synergizer, and my doctor was all about it. I walked out of there. He said, I'm pretty sure I've never seen anybody walk out of here without crutches on, you know, after knee surgery. And I said, well, those crutches would make me fall because I'm not very nimble with those. But then when I got home, I walked 3 miles that day, and my recovery was just astounding and he couldn't believe it. 2 weeks later, activated collagen came out, and I started on that. And in 4 weeks, you guys, I had full range of motion. in my knee. And he was blown away still to this day. My husband, who started on the collagen, had bone on bone, very bad knee pain. He's going to be 65. He mountain bikes and skis like nobody's business now. He is just thrilled. And every time he gets back from an outing, he says to me, have I told you how great it feels not to have any knee pain? So I'm telling you about some of the benefits that we have. But when people hear the word collagen, they think, oh, hair, skin, and nails. Well, absolutely. Let's take a look here. This is amazing to me. These are people that I know. I don't know the woman on the left. I can't say I personally know her, but I have seen her at events. And I've also know the person here. I know Betty. And guys, those pictures don't lie. Betty we all know Betty, somebody who's had a pretty rough life and has kind of lacked in the self-care. And she got on the collagen, and these are pictures. And I do know I have pictures of her and I together. So I will say that I do know her. The thing that I love about this, you guys, is we don't usually, when you see people who promote their collagen, it's always younger women. Look how much younger this person looks. They're already young. But look at these women, okay? They're not the youthful young women, but they're aging backwards, clearly. This is my friend Tina from New Zealand. I just wanted to bring this up to show you the pigmentation in her face is just unbelievable to me. And that was 10 days. And the whites of her eyes just being so much clearer. I think that you all know that collagen is a glue that holds everything together. If we didn't have collagen in our bodies, we would just be a bag of bones. So that collagen holds everything together. And when we drink this collagen, which is a liquid collagen formulated at a very high temperature, and the efficacy of it is just so good, our body goes to work making its own collagen. So here's the difference between supplementation and activation, everyone. Supplementation will fill in the nutritional gaps. You need that. You need that sometimes. We got, lacking in nutrition. But the difference between that and between us and everybody else is we activate. When you take it, you're going to make it here. And that's what happens with this collagen. It also replenishes collagen, and it also maintains the collagen that you have. So incredible 10 peptides in one bottle of collagen. And this is my sister. She's 10 years older than I am, you guys. And she was activated. She added the collagen and the skincare. And this is what happened when she did the skincare. Okay. So February 1st, 2024 is when I gifted her the brand new skincare line. And this is what happened. So it activated her own hyaluronic acid, she's been a sun bunny. You can tell she's loved the sun. But you guys, what this has done for my sister and the whole activation process, she's had a tough life, and it has really saved her sanity. She just feels happier and a lot of things. And I'm just so proud and honored to just, she let me share these pictures because she said, I don't like the first one, but I said, that first one is long gone. Now you're more vibrant. So I have to share that with you. This girl on the left, you guys, she is on the Tri-Synergizer, but you can see, and I say this often, our skin is a beacon, our skin is an alarm. If we could unzip from our forehead to our pelvis and open up and see what's going on inside of us, we might change a few things that we do. But when we have this kind of showing on our skin, that's a signal. It's saying something's wrong inside. You need to pay attention and you need to get that gut fixed. And that's what we are, we're activating now. And that's just for a little bit further down the road. But both of these people got on the gut health essentials, that NRF1 that I was talking about earlier, you guys, that activates that gut microbiome, that healthy gut microbiome. That our probiotic and our prebiotic are what has made the change for this, and then the liquid collagen. Okay. And so you can just see the difference. And I'm telling you, for me, that would be enough to just say, wow, I think that I need to take a look at that. You guys, those pictures don't lie. I know those people, and that's just an amazing. I have to show you that. And the only way you're going to really, really understand it, though, is to experience it yourself like we do. That's why we're so passionate. Like, we can talk and talk, but once you experience it, you won't be able to shut up either because it's that compelling. And when you can be part of somebody's life like that and that kind of change and add value to their lives, that's more compensation than I could ever be grateful for. I just love it. The next thing we activated, which was just over a year ago, was the GLP-1 hormone. How many of you have heard of GLP-1? It's probably going to come up on your phone and all the things now that we talk about it, but we heard a lot about it. You know, it started to come around. I didn't really know what it was because I didn't pay attention to anything that was injectable. That didn't matter to me. But when our company came and said, we're going to activate GLP-1, I thought, how do you activate something that you inject? Well, we all have a GLP-1 hormone. I did not even know that. Okay. That GLP hormone helps us with food impulses, balances our gut, helps with weight loss. But what I love about this product, you guys, and for me, I had good results on it. But what I loved is it enhanced every other hormone in my body. And when I took the mind-body system, my body went to work making my GLP-1 hormone stronger. And that again enhanced every other hormone. When I took this, it went to work on the things it needed to work on first. And I didn't see a whole lot of change on the scale, you guys, but take a look at those pictures. There's not a lot of change on the scale there, but that's me. And the only thing I did different was mind body. Okay, this two-part system coupled with the activators that I already taken. And I believe that the reason that I had such a significant turnaround is because my gut was already healthy when I started taking the mind body. Your gut health is so important. And so if you take a look at that same picture, same outfit, and it's just several months apart, you guys, this works. This activation works. And so that was my story. Not everybody had the same kind of outcome that I did. But again, I have stayed on it, not because I want to get skinny or lose weight. I love what it does for the happiness in my life and for what it does fulfilling my hormones. I'm a 61-year-old woman, and I love what this does. This is a friend that I grew up with just down the road from me. And you can see we don't have to put bikinis on or anything to see the difference in just the thinner face that she has and the bigger smile that she has. She was on the verge of doing injections at this point, and she was fortunately turned down by her insurance company. And I told her that was a blessing in disguise. You just wait. And this is what happened to her once she got on our product. This is a girl that I taught in, yeah, this isn't the right one because it doesn't have my extra slides. This is a girl that I taught in high school, and I'm gonna exit out of this, Jessie, and bring my other slides on because they're important. But I taught her, guys. This was very 21 days. It's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna end this, and I'm gonna pull up. Let me stop sharing for just. Am I sharing right now, Jessie? Okay,
No, it's
I'm
fine.
gonna share. I'm going to. Oh gosh, minimize this real quick. And I'm going to, I pulled up the wrong one. So yeah, it's this one right here. Okay. Hold on, guys. You can go ahead and talk to them if you want.
Well, here, what I'll do, so Betty, who you guys saw in Sandy's collagen pictures there, I made sure to find her and introduce myself at an event a couple of years ago as well, because I, like many people, had seen her pictures and I got to interview her. So in the chat, I'm going to drop a YouTube link of an interview I did with Betty. So if you want to hear more of her backstory that Sandy was speaking about, I will drop that in the chat. And let's see. Oh, is this the one you wanted? You almost ready?
It's the one I wanted.
All right,
I
here's Betty's
apologize, you
story in the
guys.
chat. All
I knew
good. All
I knew
good.
that it looked a little
This is
bit
the good
different.
stuff.
Okay, so I'm going to get back to where I was because I really wanted you guys to see some of these other results here. Okay, and here's the deal. Stories matter, and people can hear all of the science and everything behind it. I'm just going to tell you guys, I don't know all the science behind everything. I know of it, but I don't have to know all of that to do what I do. I can just be passionate about sharing stories like this. My niece, okay, I know her. And here's the deal. She started on Mind Body and she just wasn't in the right headspace. It wasn't the time and place. She went off of it. She started again in March when her gut health was better. And she was willing to add some of those accelerators, like a little more exercise, a little more drinking water, not drinking alcohol and things like this. And you guys, when she put in a little bit of work, a little bit of effort, just some small daily disciplines, her body completely transformed. And so those are amazing things to see. You might know Lee Eastwood. This is a friend of mine. She had her stuff was on the LifeVantage page. And Lee has lost 25 pounds and 41 inches. And you know what Lee said to me? She started on the Gut Health Essential Stack before she got on Mind Body. She took my advice, so her gut was ready and it was prepared to absorb those products. She said, Sandy, I'm so glad my body still trusts me after everything I've put it through all those years. And I just did an event with her. You guys, look at that. That's a big change. And her son, who has some special needs issues, loves the Axio. He got up and stood up at our event the other day and said, I got to where I could come home from school and do my homework all by myself. And he was so proud. So you guys, you can't make this up. So I just have to share these stories with you. And the more you get around this, when you get invited, please listen, because there's something new you're going to hear every day. So many lives being changed. And we do have life coming at us every day, you guys. And we now have the edge. Okay. We've activated lots of things, but we didn't activate our gut peptides until now. LifeVantage is a publicly traded company. It is a debt-free company and was able to acquire another company who had some massively wonderful products. This being one of them, not just products, but people. We have merged with that company and have joined with so many amazing people to share the gift of activation. And what we found is, coupled with our products, guys, these two products, this system goes to work making peptides in our gut. And for right now, we know 14 at least. Okay. And the studies are just brand new. I know it's going to be more. And I'll tell you what, I don't even have to hear the studies. All I have to do is listen to all of the new things that are coming on board. Everybody's talking about what is happening to them with this new gut health product. And for me, you guys, I didn't expect anything. I thought my gut was healthy. So now what we say is we got our defense. Okay, we've got that NRF2 Synergizer. And if you look at our website, that's part of every stack that we have, that NRF2 Synergizer, for good reason. That is the foundation and that is the base. And all of this leads up to what we have now. So I was thinking, how could it get any better? I don't know that I could feel any better. I was wrong. I'm always wrong when I think that. I was wrong about collagen and now I'm wrong about this. That's okay to be wrong in that situation. But the offense is the P84. It fires up your second brain by producing those key peptides to regulate, repair, and restore your gut. And when you do that, and then you take our activators, they are more powerful because your gut is ready to absorb them completely. That's what I found. My gut was not absorbing everything until I got this in my body. And now I don't have that leakage like a lot of people might have. Okay. I found that out through I got on a gut microbiome test and a stool test, and I saw that firsthand. I was blown away that I had that situation. And so now my body is absorbing. Somebody said, I feel like my body is nourished with this, and I couldn't have come up with a better word for it. And I also feel that way about my skin, because now when I put our skin products on, I can just feel my skin just drinking them. It's amazing how it feels. So this is called the Healthy Edge Stack. You've got the PhytoPower 1, PhytoPower 2, and the NRF2. And I will tell you that, yes, the question, my grandchildren take it. They love it. And it's so good. And what I find so interesting, I could not eat that many vegetables and fruits every day. And so that's taken care of. I love it. I love fruits and vegetables, but it's giving me a lot more. And it's also giving me probiotics, prebiotics, postbiotics, and digestive enzymes, among other things. So, what happened with me is kind of compelling, and I'll share that here in a minute. But what we're finding is the side effects of this are like totally unexpected benefits. This is my friend Holly. She was on Mind Body. It didn't bode well with her. But when she got on this product, this happened in 15 days. She always told me with Mind Body, she said, Sandy, I don't know how you feel so good. I just don't. I just feel. And so what we have found, and we talked about it, I said, Holly, you weren't absorbing the products the way they were designed to be absorbed. Now you are. And take a look at her. You can't make that up. Okay, that's the same image. This is me, you guys. I experienced something that I was just struck by. This was a week after I had tried the first time. I drank the system, the P84 1 and 2. I drank it and I had this interesting, like I felt like I didn't have as much puffiness in my joints, and I didn't have as much discomfort. And so I thought, well, that could be a fluke because that was only 24, not even 24 hours. So I took that just to do my videos. Remember that gut microbiome test, that baseline test I took? I took that so that I could share with people like you. Here's where I was before this product. In 3 months, I'm going to share, or 4 months, I'm going to share where I'm at now. And I really believe that it's going to be a serious change, because then when I started back on it, I felt really good for 3 days, but then the puffiness came back, the discomfort came back, and I thought, okay, let's see when I get back on it on October 20th, what happens. So you can say on that hand, you take a look at that hand, that's my hand on October 20th. On October 21st, that's my hand, same hand. Okay. You can see a lot more wrinkles on the right side or on the right one, because it's not as puffy. Okay. Those are my feet, you guys. I have chemo-induced swelling in my feet. There's a word for it, but I have that in my feet, and you can see clearly what has happened to my feet. If you can't see it, get a little closer to the screen, and I can tell you it feels amazing to have that feeling. This is a girl that was in Texas with us a few weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago. I don't remember how many weeks, but she started on the gut health. She's had cystic acne for years, since she was 15, and she's been on all kinds of medications and everything. And this was her right after starting the P84, 6 days later. And this was her on Monday. She sent those pictures to me, update on Monday. And she said, you know, I've been using our skincare since it came out, but now I can actually feel it working, kind of like me. And she says, I now can go without using foundation. And she said, I just feel so much more confident. And yeah, you know, her mental health, you guys. This is my enroller's daughter, and I'm so happy for her. She is so happy at 25 years old, finally being able to feel good in her own skin, literally. This is my daughter, Bethany. I happen to be at her house right now. This was her skin again. When she started on the skincare, the new skincare. She's on the collagen, the NRF2, and she's been on P84 now. And this is her today, actually today. And you know why you know that? Because I'm wearing the same outfit I had on earlier today when we went to have Thanksgiving with my grandkids. And my grandkids drink Axio before they go to school. They love the P84. And I have some really great stories about my grandson who started talking after being activated. This is also my daughter. I just want to introduce you to why I'm so passionate about this. Lindsay had an ectopic pregnancy, and we almost lost her before Grace was born. And so this is her little daughter, Grace, and she says, Mom, I just don't want her picture all over the internet. And I said, I get that. So I just did this, but this was her just a week ago. We last Saturday, celebrated her first birthday. You can just read that. I don't have to read, but everything that's happened with Lindsay since she started on the P84. And, you know, I just can't say enough for this. She was a little skeptical too, but she's nursing Grace. So Grace is getting those nutrients too. Grace was born with some eczema, and she had some, you know, I guess skin issues. And she's doing very, very well. And she started walking this week. And she's just, I don't know, it's just interesting. I know that happens when they turn 1, but everything that she's going through now, it just seems like it's accelerating. So Lindsay's thrilled. She looks amazing. And it's just great for me to see this. This is my other grandson. Sorry, you guys have to go through all this with my grandbabies, but this is my grandson, Briggs, and many of you saw him in New York. This was what happened with Briggs. And I will tell you that his mom, Morgan, very, very careful about what she puts in her body and what goes in these children's bodies. They're not vaccinated. Her oldest, her 3-year-old, was not vaccinated, not formula fed or anything, had beautiful skin. With Briggs, he was born, and you can kind of see it. I mean, but his skin was harsh, it was cracking. And this is after Morgan started on P84. You guys, we had no idea this was going to happen. None. Totally unexpected. And so here's the little video. I think if I click this.
Well, holy moly, me, oh my, you're the apple of my eye. Boy, I'll never love one like you. Oh, hot and heavy, pumpkin pie, chocolate candy, Jesus Christ. There ain't nothing sweeter than you.
And you don't know what that means to me as a mother, because Morgan was really struggling with what was she doing wrong and how could she help her baby. And it's even better now, you guys. And Morgan's noticing different things. She goes, now that I'm paying attention to myself, and if you want to follow her on Instagram, Morgan Holmstrom, she just posted what she looks like. And she said, I wasn't even paying attention to me, Mom. And look, I'm not even trying. I feel so good. But what we didn't realize is that when we take care of our guts, that's transferred to the babies. And so both Morgan and Lindsay breastfeed. And I tell you what, when things like this happen, it makes you a believer. And there are a lot of people out there who need this message, this natural message, because she was on the verge of trying those creams that really can harm a baby because he was suffering so much. And she said now he loves to snuggle up next to her face and everything like he wasn't doing before, probably because it hurt. And so, yeah, I just can't say enough. Beautiful children and beautiful grandchildren. And so I have to share with you why this makes me so passionate, because we can activate much more, you guys. We have great products. One of our best products is the product I talked to you about earlier, the compensation plan, of being able to it changed my life. I always had more month than money. I was the hardest working teacher there. Everybody got paid the same. There was a cap on what we could do, but here there's no cap. It's however hard you want to work. And I'm going to just share a little story with you. This is my mom, and I was very, very close to my mom and my dad. My dad died when I was 30. My mom died in 2020, and she did not die of any kind of virus or anything. She died of, I'm tired of what's going on in this world and I'm ready to go meet the Lord. And she flat out told me that. But for the last 5 months of her life, you guys, because of this industry, I wasn't a school teacher, okay? But because of this industry, I was able to rent a condo and live with my mom. And it was just got to the point where she could not take care of herself. She needed some help. She was still there, but she just needed not to be alone. And so I looked into assisted living and everything, and I'm so glad that didn't work out, because I never would have seen her again. We all know what happened in 2020. So you can see in this first picture, I looked pretty okay. But in this picture right here, this is me on the day my mom died. I went up to the hospice where my dad passed away, and I just sat on that rock and prayed. And Mom said, Sandy, I hope when I'm gone that you take a little bit better care of yourself. And I didn't care. I just wanted to just focus on her. So I did. And 4 years later, that's me with a picture of 3 of my grandkids. And life was good. I weighed 50 pounds less. And I want to emphasize this to you guys, because some of you may feel this. When your body is stressed, big things happen, and things can get carried away. And so I just did focus on just staying activated, being very conscientious of all of my making sure that I got my supplement or my activators in, doing that, and then got a little bit more serious about taking care of myself. Getting sleep is massive. I lost 10 pounds in the first 2 weeks after my mom's funeral, just because I was getting sleep. And so it's crazy what'll happen to us. But here's today, or this was just in October, you guys. And the reason I share this with you is because Morgan, right here in the middle, that's her little baby Briggs, and this is Brooks. They live in New York. And I can go see them anytime I want to. Every time I look at my boss in the mirror and I say, can I have some time off? She says yes, most of the time. But Morgan has been a stay-at-home mom, and this industry has allowed her to do that. Her husband is a hockey coach now. He was a professional hockey player. They got paid pretty well. Then you go into the coaching, you got to work your way back up. And so she's the breadwinner of that family right now, being able to stay at home with a brand new baby. And this is Bethany, who I'm at her house right now, and her 2 kids. She was able to walk away from a really bad situation and have some independence to start her life over. That is what LifeVantage has done for her by sharing this message. And then again, we talk about Lindsay, who had to have IVF she had IVF to have baby Grace, and I was able to contribute to that. And she was also able to go back part-time instead of full-time because of her LifeVantage, you guys. And that's just really, really great. These 3 girls, I paid for all of their weddings. And one thing that I gave them that, you know, that I never would have been able to do was LASIK eye surgery. I was able to pay cash for them to have LASIK eye surgery. And you talk about casting some vision there. So just those little things, you guys. I want you to know what's possible, because I didn't. If your mind is closed, guys, I am just, you can tell I'm passionate, and I just share these products passionately with people. And I want you to understand that this is why I do. I would never send a check back, but I think that I would always share these products. LifeVantage has changed my life dramatically. I'm at the executive level. Morgan is at the executive level. Lindsay and Bethany are both at the MC3 level. My son-in-law is at the MC2 level. My husband's at the MC2 level. And that's just, you know, LifeVantage really takes care of my family. But I also take care of LifeVantage. I'm very protective of our community and our culture, and I protect the house. And so that income disclosure, again, there's no guarantees on it, you guys. But if it happened for somebody who knew nothing about the industry, why couldn't it happen for you? And for me, I love working, so I wasn't going to quit my teaching job, but because my husband left me, I was doing well enough, I had the opportunity to walk away. But this certainly can be your side gig. For me, it started as a side gig, and then it turned into my full-time gig. And then my full-time gig turned into now just teaching around the world. So if that is something that interests you guys, you could come in on some packs. The best part about that is the compensate, our consultant plan, you guys, you get 20% off. Okay. And that's a great savings for you to be able to try products. If this is something you'd want to try, that'd be a great way to come in. You'd get an 11% discount on that to get the pack. For me, I knew I was going to do this once I made the decision. I wanted every product I could get my hands on to have the opportunity to at least experience it, so I could tell people, I don't know what it'll do for you, but this is what it did for me. And I will tell you, that was the best investment I ever made. I use every product. I don't take the Pet Tandem, my dog does, but I use every single product. And I will tell you that getting that kind of savings to invest was one of the best decisions of my life. So before I hand this over to Jessie, I'm just going to tell you, 6 years ago, I had the same opportunity you do. And you may be a consultant here and just starting out and thinking, is that possible? Heck yes. You know, I can't even pull up the right PowerPoint, and I'm at the executive level. So why in the world couldn't you do that? Do you have a heart? Guys, when I was bald and I was going around sharing my heart about those other products, I would tell people, they would be uncomfortable. They see my bald head. They're like, it made them sad. I said, don't worry about this up here. Look in my eyes. That's where you're going to see my heart. And we all have that. And if you have the heart and the passion to help people, this is absolutely for you. And I'll just reach out to the person who brought you here, and they can take your hand and guide you. So thank you so much for listening. I'm sorry it went a little bit long. Jessie, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing all of those stories. It was worth every single moment to soak that in. Thank you all that hung in here the whole time. I hope it was inspiring. You're getting a lot of hearts there, Sandy. So thank you, everybody. What I'm going to do here in a moment is I'm going to stop the recording, and we can do 5 minutes to get to the bottom of the hour for Q&A. Let me stop the recording here.